Hi, and thank you for joining us. Today, voters in 4 states cast their ballots in key elections. New York, Maryland, and Utah are holding several closely watched congressional primaries. And 2 Trump-backed Republican candidates are competing in a runoff for South Carolina governor. In New York City, Democratic Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani's influence will be put to the test for the first time since his election. Mamdani has endorsed candidates in 3 races, but he's notably not endorsed anyone in Manhattan's wealthy and powerful 12th district. In Utah, 4 Democratic candidates are running in a primary for the state's newly redrawn 1st congressional district, which covers Salt Lake City. The seat could help determine the House majority in November, but a Democrat hasn't been elected to represent Utah since 2018. In Maryland's 5th district, 23 Democratic candidates are vying for Congressman Steny Hoyer's seat. Hoyer is retiring after serving more than 40 years in the House. He's endorsed his previous campaign manager, Adrian Boafo. Former U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who was present during the January 6th attack, is also running. And several Republicans are challenging Maryland's incumbent Democratic Governor Wes Moore in November. Moore, who also faces a primary challenger, says his work in the Old Line state is not done.
We're feeling very good. We're feeling really good. I think we're excited about the momentum that we're seeing within our state. We know there's just more to do. There's more work to get done. And so we're focused on accomplishing our mission.
We have team coverage tonight. Anthony Salvanto and Chanel Collar in New York. Skylar Henry is covering South Carolina. But first, we're going to start in Washington with CBS News political director Fin Gómez. So, Fin, in New York City, we've got a battle between Democratic Socialist candidates and progressives in several House primaries. What does this tell you, or what will this tell you about where the Democratic Party might be headed?
Yeah, Lindsay, what's striking here is who's actually fighting here. This isn't just the left against the center. It's really the left against the further left. It's progressive versus like mainstream progressives, if you will. The candidates, Mayor Mamdani has endorsed Brad Lander against Dan Goldman, Darielitza Avila Chevalier against incumbent House Democrat Adriana Espaillat, are running to the left of these incumbents who already call themselves progressives. So the question tonight isn't whether the party is moving left in New York necessarily. It already essentially has. I mean, the question is how far and who controls that energy. 6 months into his term, Mamdani is testing whether his win last year had coattails that carry over into this cycle, and whether he's a party kingmaker or if this is just a one-off. But there's a caution here too. These are deep blue seats where the primary is essentially the whole ball game. The harder test for Democrats comes on competitive ground, a race like, let's say, like the main Senate race or other House races where they're really toss-ups. So that's really where the fight lies after these primary elections. Lindsay?
All right, so let's talk about this packed primary for Steny Hoyer's seat. What's significant there?
Yes, Steny Hoyer, longtime Maryland Democratic congressman, spent more than 4 decades in the House. He was the number 2, if you recall, for years behind Nancy Pelosi, and he's stepping aside at 87. This is a narrative that we've been hearing a lot about this year. That's this generational change or handoff that many were in the Democratic Party had been waiting for. The old guard sort of stepping back. It's really become a proxy war, though. However, in this race, it is a safe blue seat. So whomever wins Tuesday almost certainly has a great chance of retaining the seat in Congress. And that's drawn in serious outside money, crypto aligned, and there's also AIPAC, the pro-Israeli super PAC, has spent heavily to boost Hoyer's chosen successor. As you mentioned, State Delegate Adrian Boafo, while rivals like former Capitol City police officer Harry Dunn and others have been rejecting that sort of money as part of their pitch to voters. And it's really become a defining line in the Democratic Party. So it's also, if you recall, this district is packed with federal workers who were hit hard by Trump's cuts. So one of the underneath narratives here is who can take the fight and who's the best fighter, if you will, to take on the Trump administration. And that's what we've been hearing from Democrats in this part of Maryland.
All right, Fin Gómez, thank you. For more, let's bring in CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Pull on some of those threads that Fin set up on these battles within the Democratic Party.
The first thing I want to do is show you the New York 12th. And this is, if people have been to New York or in New York, you'll recognize it's Midtown Manhattan. And the reason that I point this out is you really do have a wealthier electorate here. They're hoping or maybe seeing a lot of turnout of young people. This is Central Park. I'll put it here in green. But you've got your Upper East Side, your Upper West Side. This is when Midtown Manhattan. This is a crowded race. I think turnout here hits, for sort of a viewer's guide, maybe 85,000. Maybe that goes a little higher, what we've seen in the early votes so far. This is one that we're watching, partly because of the contours of the race, like Finn was talking about AI, the dynamics behind AI, as well as a number of other key issues. The other thing that I want to show you is where else the other races are. So I'm going to pull up. Let me go to the New York 7th, because we've talked about that. This one spanning out to Queens and Brooklyn. That's where we're going to watch that. And then I'm going to show you the New York 10th. That goes from Lower Manhattan partly into Brooklyn there. And then finally, I'll show you the New York 13th as well. This one spanning up towards the northern part of Manhattan and up into the Bronx as well. All of these, you see congressional districts packed in to New York City. So you got a lot of population density in there. That's how we'll break this down. It's a viewer's guide for tonight.
Okay, so let's move further north up the Hudson Valley, 17. I covered Mike Lawler's race when he booted out Sean Patrick Maloney 3 years ago from his seat. He was like the head of the CCC at the time,
yeah,
the congressional campaign arm. And so we know that this area is already purple, right? Is it possible that it could flip from red to blue again?
It is. It's one of, and you mentioned New York 17th, and these maps, I should say, courtesy of our friends at Vote Hub. But I'm going to put another number on the board, and that's 16. We're talking about the New York 17th. Across the country, there's only about 16 districts that are really toss-ups, coast to coast. So when we're talking about the battle for House control, right, the New York 17th is likely one of those, and it may be the only one in New York that we're really focused on as a pure toss-up. That's why it matters, and that's a district as you get up towards Rockland County and Poughkeepsie that we'll be watching.
So I feel like lately he and Trump have been campaigning together. Trump was just here. Trump endorsed him on Truth Social. Are you looking at whether that's going to help or hurt Lawler?
One of the central questions of the midterm is going to be, do people who would support President Trump and vote for him if he were on the ballot turn out for Republicans in the midterms? Of course, Republicans are betting that they do.
Anthony Salvanto, thank you.
Sure.